The African wilderness, vast, untamed, and ancient. Here, every sunrise is a gift, and every nightfall is a test of survival. The land speaks in whispers, the rustle of the dry grass, the footsteps of antelopes, the haunting call of a jackal beneath the moon. In this land lived the San people, hunters, gatherers, storytellers. They had no castles of stone, no cities of iron. Instead, the earth was their bed, the stars their roof, and the animals their neighbors. Among them was a boy named Taye. He was young, perhaps no more than 10 seasons old. Yet there was something different about him. While other children spent their days playing games with pebbles or throwing spears at lizards, Taye's eyes were always drawn beyond the village. He studied the sky as though it held secrets. He pressed his ear to the ground, listening for the heartbeat of the land. He followed tracks in the sand, not to kill, but to understand. The elders often shook their heads, saying, "This boy has the spirit of the wind. He belongs to the wilderness." But Taye's mother only smiled and whispered, "He sees what others cannot." Little did she know her son was walking toward a destiny no child had ever walked before. One bright morning, when the sun was still young and the dew clung to the grass, Taye wandered farther than usual. He was following the faint trail of a wounded springbok he had spotted the day before. His small footprints pressed into the sand, weaving through thorn bushes and rocky paths. The desert was alive with sound. The call of a hornbill overhead, the chirping of cicadas hidden in the trees, and the whisper of the wind stirring the dry leaves. But then, something else reached his ears. Not the swift steps of an antelope, not the warning hiss of a snake. This sound was different, weak, broken, like a cry caught between fear and pain. Taye froze, his ears alert. Slowly, he followed the sound, step by cautious step, pushing through thorny branches, careful not to make a noise. His heart raced. Every hunter knew that strange sounds in the wild could mean danger. At last, he reached a small clearing, and there, lying in the dust, was a sight that made him gasp. A lion cub. Its golden fur was matted with dust, its body thin, ribs rising and falling with each labored breath. Its paws trembled as it tried to stand, but it fell back with a soft whimper. Taye's first instinct was to run, for in the stories told by the fire, lions were the fiercest of beasts, the kings of the land, feared by all. A lion is death. A lion is fire, the elders always warned. But this was no mighty king. This was a child of the wild, alone, weak, and lost. The cub lifted its head, and their eyes met. For a moment, boy and beast locked gazes. In the cub's golden eyes, Taye did not see fury. He saw fear. He saw hunger. He sought a plea. His heart softened. Carefully, he reached into the pouch slung across his shoulder and pulled out a strip of dried springbok meat. He placed it gently on the ground and backed away. The cub hesitated, sniffed the air. With trembling steps, it crawled forward and seized the meat. Chewing desperately, Taye smiled. Something stirred inside him. He knelt in the sand, speaking softly in clicks and whispers of his Bushman tongue. Words not meant for man, not meant for beast, but words of comfort. The cub ate until its small belly was full, then lay back down, breathing a little easier. Taye sat with it until the sun began to sink, then returned to his village. That night, as the stars filled the sky, Taye could not sleep. His mind was filled with the golden eyes of the cub. He knew one thing with certainty: he would return. That was the beginning of a bond no one could ever explain. True friendship is not built in a day. It grows like a seed planted in the soil of time, watered with trust and patience. From that first meeting, Taye returned again and again to the thicket where the cub lay. Each day he brought food, scraps of meat, roasted roots, even water in his small calabash. At first, the cub kept its distance, suspicious of the boy. But hunger is stronger than fear. Slowly, step by step, it drew nearer. Taye spoke to it gently. His words were soft, his movements slow, his eyes kind. Animals know the language of the heart better than humans, and the cub began to understand. This boy meant no harm. Within weeks, the cub grew stronger. Its legs no longer trembled when it stood. Its roar, once a weak squeak, now rumbled like a growl. Small but promising the strength to come. Taye gave him a name, Tao, meaning lion. To Taye, he was no longer just a beast. He was a companion. Soon they played together like brothers. Taye would run across the open sand, and Tao would chase, bounding clumsily on his oversized paws, pouncing into the dust, rolling and tumbling. Sometimes the cub would sneak up and leap onto Taye's back, making him laugh as he fell into the sand. When the sun grew hot, they rested beneath the wide branches of an acacia tree. Taye would lie on the ground, and Tao would curl beside him, his golden fur rising and falling with each breath. Sometimes the cub's head would rest on the boy's chest, and together they would drift into sleep, guarded by the silence of the wild. As the weeks turned to months, Tao's body changed. His shoulders grew broad, his paws heavy, his teeth sharp. A faint mane began to sprout around his neck. His roar echoed farther across the valley, scattering flocks of birds into the sky. And yet, around Taye, he was gentle. Never once did he bare his claws at the boy. Never once did his roar carry anger. To Tao, Taye was not prey. He was family. The other children of the village sometimes followed Taye, watching from a distance. They whispered in awe, "How can he walk with a lion and live?" To them, it was a miracle. But Taye would only smile and say, "Because he knows my heart, and I know his." The bond between them grew unbreakable. The boy who belonged to the wilderness had found his truest friend, one with golden fur and a spirit as wild as the desert itself. For a while, the boy's secret remained hidden. But lions do not stay small forever. Tao's body grew stronger, his roar deeper, his presence impossible to ignore. One evening, as Taye returned to the village with Tao following close behind, the people froze. Mothers snatched their children into their arms. Warriors reached for their spears. The elders muttered prayers under their breath, for before their eyes was the unthinkable child of the village walking beside the most feared beast of the desert. "Has the boy gone mad?" one whispered. "Surely the lion will devour him," cried another. But Taye raised his hand. "Do not fear," he said softly. "Tao is not my enemy. He is my friend." The lion sat calmly beside the boy, his golden eyes scanning the crowd, not with hunger, but with caution, as if he, too, understood their fear. Still, fear is a stubborn fire. The elders called a meeting around the fire that night. Smoke curled into the starry sky as voices rose in argument. "The boy is cursed," one elder declared. "To bring a lion into our midst is to bring death into our homes." Another spat into the sand. "No man can tame the king of beasts. Today it plays, tomorrow it kills." Finally, Taye's father stood, a seasoned hunter with scars across his arms. He was a man who had faced many lions in battle. His voice was sharp with anger. "My son, you dishonor us. Do you not know the danger you bring? A lion is never a brother. It is a killer. One day, when hunger burns in him, he will remember what he is. And when he does, he will tear you apart. The firelight flickered across Taye's face, but his eyes did not waver. He looked at his father and spoke with courage. You see a beast. I see a brother. You see death. I see life. Taye will not harm me, for he knows my heart. The people murmured in disbelief. Some shook their heads, waiting for the day when the boy's words would fail him. Fear settled in the village like a shadow. From then on, mothers pulled their children closer whenever Taye was near. Warriors kept their spears sharpened. Even the elders prayed against disaster. But Taye did not turn away. Night after night, he sat beside his lion, whispering stories beneath the stars. And Taye, the beast they feared, listened quietly, his great golden head resting at the boy's feet. The bond of trust between them deepened, even as suspicion thickened around them. Little did the village know the day would soon come when that trust would be tested. The Kalahari desert was calm that night. The fires had died down, the children lay asleep, and the stars burned brightly, keeping silent watch. But danger was moving in the dark. A rival tribe, hardened by hunger and thirst, crept toward the Bushman camp. They carried spears and bows, their faces painted for war. They sought food, water, and blood. The guards at the edge of the camp were caught unaware. Like shadows, the raiders slipped between huts, stealing gourds of water, snatching baskets of grain. Taye, sleeping outside beneath the stars, stirred. His ears caught the faint crunch of feet in the sand. He sat up, heart pounding, eyes scanning the darkness. And then he saw them. Men with painted faces, spears glinting in the moonlight. Fear gripped him. He wanted to cry out, to warn his people. But before his lips could part, a sound shattered the night. Roar! It was not the roar of a cub. It was the thunder of a grown lion, deep, earth-shaking, fierce. From the shadows, Taye burst forth. His mane shimmered under the moonlight. His eyes burned like fire. With a single bound, he leapt before the raiders, his massive frame blocking their path. The raiders froze. Some trembled, clutching their spears tighter. Others dropped their weapons in sheer terror. For who among men can fight the king of beasts? Taye roared again, and the very earth seemed to quake. The raiders scattered in panic, but some, desperate, hurled their spears. The lion dodged, snarling, teeth flashing like lightning. With the strength of the wild, he struck one spear aside, his paw breaking it in half. Another raider lunged forward, but Taye's roar sent him fleeing into the night. His courage shattered. Through it all, the lion never left Taye's side. He circled the boy, his great body like a shield of living flame. Every movement said, "You will not touch him. You will not harm my brother." When dawn broke, the raiders were gone, their spears abandoned in the sand. The Bushman camp stood unharmed, and at its center was Taye, untouched, alive, protected by the beast the villagers had once feared. When the villagers saw what had happened, their fear melted into awe. No man could deny what their eyes had witnessed. The lion was not a curse. He was a protector. The elders bowed their heads in silence. Mothers who once clutched their children in fear now whispered blessings. Warriors lowered their spears, ashamed of their doubts. And Taye's father, the hunter who once warned his son, stepped forward. His eyes were heavy with emotion as he placed a hand on Taye's shoulder. "You were right, my son," he said softly. "This lion is not your enemy. He is your brother." From that day on, Taye was no longer an outcast. He walked freely through the village, a guardian of the people. Children, once afraid, now watched in wonder as the boy and lion played together beneath the sun. Their bond was no longer just his secret friendship. It was a legend, a story of trust stronger than fear, of love greater than doubt. Years passed, but the story of the boy and his lion never faded. Around firesides, beneath starry skies, the Bushman told it again and again, of the child who dared to see with different eyes. In the wilderness, every creature fights to survive. Yet sometimes, against all odds, friendship blooms in the unlikeliest of places. This was not just the tale of Taye and Taye. It was a lesson, etched into the sands of time, that trust can conquer fear, that kindness can tame the wild, that even in the fiercest of hearts, there is space for gentleness. And so, the legend lives on of the Bushman boy who befriended a lion,